So hello guys, I'm Tokyo Paul live, and this is my friend, a very cool guy, Andy. I know him by the Andy Japandi channel, and today we're gonna get to know Andy. And I've been very interested since I met him, introduced by Chris in Tokyo, and our time in was it at the Buddha? Where do we go?
The
Kamakura.
Daibutsu in Kamakura, yeah.
Yeah. And then since then, I've been, thinking about you and your interesting life that I like to get to know more about. And so basically, yeah, today let's get to know you and your experience in life in Japan.
I'm
So
looking forward to it.
sounds good. Thanks. So Andy, just first question, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself? Where are you from?
Oh, yeah, sure. So, those that know, hi, I'm Andy. I'm originally from a small town in Ohio called Salina. For the past 16 years, I've been just doing my thing on YouTube. I've made just a whole different variety of content over the years. Originally starting off with just vlogs showing stuff around my hometown because I really wanted to come to Japan, and I figured since it was going to be a while before I got out here, I would just practice by kind of showing off different spots in my hometown just to get myself ready for all that. But eventually, one thing led to another. I got into a 5-year enlistment with the U.S. Navy, which led me to getting stationed out in Yokosuka, Japan, which is in the Kanagawa Prefecture, just south of
Coast.
Tokyo. And from there, got out, went back to school on the GI Bill, which is essentially a scholarship for military veterans. Didn't really like my experiences back in America. I was also doing a lot of readjustment, obviously. And from there, I decided I wanted to come back to Japan. And one of my old shipmates contacted me saying, yeah, you can use your GI Bill overseas. Because at the time, I didn't know you could. So I went through the whole process, applied to a school out here, got accepted, came out. Everything shut down within a few months after me arriving because of the big C. I'm not going to mention it, but it is what it is. So we went from doing in-person classes to Zoom rooms, and somehow, some way, I made it through with an associate's degree, 2-year degree, and then just recently, about 2 weeks ago, graduated with my bachelor's degree. I was the first in my school, thank you, to graduate with a bachelor's degree because my school had just become approved for 4-year bachelor degrees. So I'm very excited about that. And right now I'm just looking for a job out here in old Japan.
What did you study? I've been curious since I met you.
I was studying business administration with an emphasis in communications.
Nice.
So it was just like a lot of business courses as well as, kind of some basic marketing, things like that.
All right, cool. And what's school like in Japan? Like, I studied abroad for 6 months, but yeah, I was study abroad. What is actual school like in Japan, or a longer term?
Well, for me, my school experience in Japan is a little different because the school I went to is an American campus that's based in Japan. So it's basically like an American satellite campus.
Hmm.
So it's set up to operate basically the same as an American campus. All the staff speak English and stuff like that. And it's kind of laid out very similar to an American university. So in that regard, it's not all that different from being back in America, but considering we are in Japan and that's a good 75% or more of the student populace is Japanese, even though it is an American campus, there are some compromises, put it
Mhm.
lightly, that do have to be made. So it's not like 100% quote unquote American campus, but it's about as close as you're going to get, really.
Nice. And have you made any friends? How do you make friends on campus? Or I noticed you mentioned the virtual classroom thing. So how has it been
Right. Well,
making friends or socially?
in the before times, before the big C arrived, um, it was pretty easy because I was like one of maybe a handful of Americans that were on campus at the time. So everybody's like really interested in like, who are you? Where'd you come from? Why you eat so much hamburger?
Oh,
And
those are YouTube videos as well, like hamburger.
yeah, exactly. And then they invite me out to like karaoke and stuff like that. And at the time, I was really struggling financially because I was waiting on my GI Bill checks to come in so I could actually live like a normal human. So I was just like, okay, guys, maybe wait till like next month when I get paid, because they were like very insistent about it.
Oh,
But then
that's good
March
social.
hit and went to Zoom rooms and I stopped getting invites, to say the least.
Oh.
But as far as making friends in the post Big C world, uh, there are some people you connect with because in class they often have you do like little breakout sessions to
Mm.
discuss certain topics. And since my school is fairly small, we were often kind of the same group of people or in the same classes all the time. So over time, even though we never saw each other in person, you couldn't help but get to know people. And there were some people we kind of vibed with. And once the environment and everything allowed us to, and we all got the two or the three tap, then we felt a lot more confident about going out and meeting each other in person, going out and having good, socially responsible social time, to say
Sounds
the
good.
least.
Like sounds like spending time with people and uh, feeling the vibe, which I think I really need to work on. Actually, I mentioned to my viewers, my goal is to make a friend. But yeah, so that sounds cool. Great tip. Actually, I was curious because you mentioned uh, surviving on money. I had the same problems I was studying abroad when I was studying abroad. I think I was trying to live off of 2,000 US dollars for 6 months. Somehow I made it, but like, do you have any tips on how much do you need to live in Japan? Maybe daily, monthly, and just general tips, as a student or in general.
Well, I'd say obviously it depends on where you are. If you're in like Osaka or something like that, it's gonna be a little bit less than if you're in the thick of it in Tokyo. But generally speaking, if you are in the Tokyo area, um, one thing to note is finding good housing. And the
Mm.
mistake that a lot of new students make is that they try to get themselves an apartment.
Ooh.
And just because you can doesn't mean that you should, really, because even like the decently priced apartments, you don't really need to be paying all that much to stay there, especially if you're a student. I mean, once you're
How much is it?
working at how much are apartments? Oh,
Yeah,
it varies.
in your experience.
Oh, my place or
Oh no, no, like you mentioned, like you don't need to be getting an apartment. So how much money, should they spend on an apartment that in your opinion, or how much money are people spending that they could be saving?
well, ultimately at the end of the day, it does depend on your budget, of course. I
Hmm.
mean, if you have like thousands of dollars to spend, then go nuts.
Yeah.
Don't listen to me. But if you're a little more budget conscious, we'll say there are other alternatives to housing rather than just getting an apartment or whatever, and namely guest houses. I
Hmm.
highly recommend guest houses,
I've
especially
heard
if you're
that.
starting out, because, well, for one, you're not very familiar with the area, so if your first, I'd say like your first year or so, you're gonna be moving like three times.
Hmm.
So why do you want to get yourself like latched down to an apartment that you have to, you know, be dedicated to paying for like the next 2 years or
That's a good
so?
point.
Because you don't really know the area all that well, and it's just a big financial commitment as well. So it just makes sense to just get a cheap guest house, learn the area, learn the routes, see what you like about it, what you don't. Um, See if you can find any other alternatives as well. Like for me, I've lived in two guest houses since coming back to Japan. The first guest house, and I don't mind saying it, it's fine. I haven't lived there in years, literally, is it was an old guest house in Nakano Shimbashi,
Hmm.
pretty close to Shinjuku, actually. At the time, my campus was in Shinjuku Sanchome, which is like the thick of it
Hmm.
in terms of Shinjuku, like
Yeah, huge.
smack dab Shinjuku.
Yep.
Um, and from my guest house to school, take me about 35 minutes tops. So it was a pretty good commute when I was able to commute. So that's another factor as well.
So commuting
So
costs
just
money. Yeah.
Yeah, commuting costs, absolutely. So that was one advantage of doing Zoom classes. Didn't have to worry about paying anything for the train.
Yep, yep. And actually, sorry, I'm gonna change topics now because you mentioned you're part of the Navy, served in Navy.
Yep.
Thank you for your service. Can you tell
Thank you.
me about that? I was curious, like, what's it like?
Um, it's uh, it's a very unique experience. Kind of hard to really boil it down, but basically, it's kind of some parts of college on the sea, really rough lives, being out to sea, working very long hours in a very strenuous position, having to work with people you don't necessarily like, but you're stuck miles away on a tin can in the middle of the ocean. So you got to do what you got to do.
What was your specific job? Or
Oh, I was a sonar technician.
whoa, that's cool. Yeah. What does that involve? Can you see like other ships or animals? Or
Yeah, yeah. Actually, we call them biologics. So our jobs were to hunt, track, classify any sort of underwater object, ranging from biologics, animals,
yep.
to possibly mines, any other sort of underwater things, namely submarines. It's our main bread
Oh,
and
yeah.
butter.
Yeah.
Especially being stationed out in Yokosuka as part of Seventh Fleet. You're part of a lot of ASW anti-submarine warfare exercises. So, um, with my first ship being out in San Diego, sonar wasn't as prioritized. But once I got out to Yokosuka, we were the bells of the ball.
Nice.
Everything was revolved around anti-submarine warfare, and we were in the thick of it in a lot of
What was
cases.
life in Yokosuka like? No, I did a live stream there. I stayed there for one weekend, but like, what was life there? Actually day to day. Like, what was that like?
I honestly, I really love it, and there's a part of me that does miss living in Yokosuka, especially where I was at, because I wasn't like in Yokosuka City. I was
Hmm.
a couple stations away, so I was still close enough to like get back and forth to work in a timely manner, but not close enough to where I'd like run into shipmates or something out in town.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I really enjoyed it. It's a lot less hectic than living in or near Tokyo, where everybody's just hustling and bustling, trying to get
Yeah,
nowhere.
people,
It's very
people.
laid back for the most part. And it's also because of that infusing of American culture. As you get closer to base, you see a lot of like Army Navy surplus stores and
Mm,
a lot of the bars. There's a bar district that's
whoa.
right across the street from the base. You probably went there. It's called the Hanch.
Mm,
Well, technically, E Hunchel is the official name of it, but it's got like branded letters called like the Haunch, and
uh-huh.
it's like the main watering hole for the military folk out there.
Cool.
And a lot of those bars are like military themed or like gambling themed and stuff
Mm,
like that. You got like Wild West saloon type stuff going on out there. So for those of you at home who've never been to that sort of environment, it's based off of if you played the original Shenmue, that's the neighborhood
mm.
that the original Shenmue was.
Shenmue, like a
Uh,
game, video game.
yep, yeah,
Excuse my ignorance, but so yeah, that's really cool. I appreciate you sharing. I was really also curious, so I'm gonna again change topics. You are a YouTuber, and
I
I
am a
know
YouTuber.
you. I was introduced to you by Chris as an editor. So can you tell us about that? What's it like being a YouTuber in Japan and editing? I want to
Right.
do editing later in
At
life.
first, I thought you were going to ask, "Are you YouTuber?" I am Chris Ford
Are
from
you?
Japan.
I think you are.
I'm not
Actually,
Chris,
you know,
but yes, I am
the
YouTuber.
channel's really cool. Yeah, and
Right.
and so yeah.
Of course. So, it is a pretty interesting mix, right? I am mostly known by a lot of people as an editor for other bigger named YouTubers, but I'm also a YouTuber in my own right. And when I came back to Japan, my goal was to make videos about my study abroad experience, especially as a veteran, because I didn't know that I could use my GI Bill benefits out here in Japan, and I thought I knew a fair bit about the GI Bill. So if somebody's going to it completely cold and they don't know anything, they're just probably going to go back home, go to like a community college, and just completely burn through their benefits. And it's like,
Mhm.
You could
So
be out
you
here in
want to help
Japan or
others
yeah, exactly.
know about
That's
that,
very important to me.
helpful information about that bill, GI Bill, and yeah, that sounds really great. Helping others and okay, and I've seen yeah, I did see some videos that you made about that, like but like is it hard being a YouTuber in Japan? Like, do you have trouble making video idea or thinking of video ideas or is it like easy or just curious?
It's a mixture of both, because like especially if you're first getting to Japan, like everything is new and exciting and bright and shining, it's screaming in your face.
Hmm.
And it's just like if just going to Tokyo alone is just a content breeding machine.
Yeah.
There's just so much stuff out there that you can do. But at the same token, it's a lot more competitive now than when it was when I first started making J vlogs back when I was stationed in Yokosuka. So it's kind of hard for me to do like I don't know, like a crane game challenge where I and a bunch of my friends go to a crane game and see what kind of prizes we can win and stuff like that. Like, are you gonna watch
Yeah.
Andy Japandi's old 2K Andy Japandi, or are you gonna watch,
I
Sea
watched
Dog VA and Chris Broad
I
being
watched at
all
least
like
10
British and
videos.
miserable getting stuff,
I watch.
right? Thank you.
It's
Appreciate it.
it's not bad. Yeah, the crane game, right? So that's a typical topic or popular topic. Actually, I'm curious. What video are you most proud of for from your library?
I would say there's a couple that I personally like, even though they may not have like a whole bunch of views or whatever. That's always the case, isn't it? It's always the darlings that you love that don't get a lot of views. But there was one that I did fairly recently for a class, actually, and it was showcasing the move because our
What's the
school had
title?
moved. What's that?
What's the title of the? What's the title?
It's called Hitokue, One
Still cool.
Voice.
Cool. Check it out.
So the concept behind it was that we were moving from Shinjuku Sanchome, which is a very loud, bright sort of district in Tokyo, to a much more quieter, more introspective location in Ryogoku, which is on like the eastern side of Tokyo, very far away from all the hustle bustle. So I wanted to kind of slowly over the video, like build up the sound till it reached like a point, and then when we moved to Ryogoku, just silence.
Sounds artistic.
Yeah, very artistic. And I got everybody in the class to help me out and everything.
Oh,
And it was supposed to have voiceover, but we couldn't quite agree on a script in time. So it's just kind of a nice little, got like some background music and stuff. And I think it turned out pretty well in the end. But another video that I did that actually a lot of my audience liked as well
so you're popular.
was the,
Cool.
which one?
Yeah, no, sorry, a popular video. Yeah, tell us the name so I can search it after. I'll put a link.
Oh, sure. It's pretty easy to find. It's a day in the life of a study abroad student it's either
Nice.
in Tokyo or Japan, something like that. And it's me just kind of like drinking a Coke out of a glass
Nice.
with Japanese cherry blossoms and stuff in the background. One of the things that I wanted to do with this video was, I wanted to get like my total Chris Broad out there and just like capture every angle, every move, and just be as deliberate as humanly possible without getting kicked out of stores with all of my camera work. And a lot of it I actually filmed with my phone right here. This is just a Samsung S10e, so it's several generations old. But even still, if you like hold it in a certain position, like where I was staying at the time was basically like a capsule hotel. So I had like a clip and I just like pointed it straight down. So you get this nice overhead shot of me like waking up, turning on the light and being like, pulling off my eye mask from
No,
sleeping.
yeah.
Be like, this is the day in the life of a study abroad student in Tokyo. And then I'm, putting on my clothes and then going downstairs to get my shoes and going out getting some lunch and just doing my thing. There's not really a whole lot of dialogue except for at the beginning and end,
Yeah.
and it's pretty interesting.
Dang, and you mentioned all these techniques like, these overhead shots. It
Yep.
makes me think of editing. So, and that's where I'm leading to. Like, all right, how did you become an editor?
Making YouTube videos. I mean,
Okay.
that's initially how it started. So,
Wow.
but how I actually started getting paid to be an
Yeah.
editor is a bit more
That's my question.
of a
Yeah.
different story. So during my time before I came to Yokosuka, I was a big, you know, community member of the J-Vlog community. So a lot of people making videos in Japan, stuff like that. I would like watch a lot of videos, leave comments, things like that. And then when I actually arrived in Japan, a lot of people already knew who the heck I was. So
Wow.
we'd get to these like YouTuber get-togethers and stuff like Andy. Oh my god, what's up,
It's
bro?
you.
Andy Japandi, it's you. I'm like, oh hey,
Hey,
I
oh,
love your videos. And
oh,
you're showing
Andy.
up. I don't have to track you down. Y'all are tracking me down. I was like, what's up, bro?
Yeah.
So, just through getting together and hanging out with these people, when I eventually got out of the Navy and went back to America, I got in contact with some people.
Cool. And oh,
And
we have a time warning of 10 minutes. Like, keep going.
okay, you want to cut it now and then
No, it's cool. Keep going. Sorry. Yeah.
okay, cool. So we'll finish this a little bit and then we'll cut it. So, but anyway, so when I went back to America, I was part of a line group with some friends,
Mm.
and one of my friends, his hard drive had crashed, so he wasn't able to make videos, and he was on a daily upload streak, which was the
Daily upload.
style at the time because that's how you grow on YouTube, just upload a bunch of stuff every day. And he was like, oh man, I can't do it because my computer's dead. And I just messaged him, just being a friend, like, hey, what if I edit a couple of your videos just until you get your computer situation fixed? And he was like, yeah, why not? Because he
Wow.
had like the raw files and stuff. It's
Yeah.
just, he didn't have the computer to put it together. So I did that for him, just out of the goodness of my heart, I guess. And by the time he got his computer fixed, he was like, why don't you just be my editor? You could be like Barry from Game
Wow.
Grumps. And I was like, I never really thought about that because to be honest, the whole editing thing for me just completely came by accident.
Yo,
It was
that's
just me helping a
cool.
friend out, and it just kind of grew. He said he wasn't going to pay me a whole lot at first, but over time, as the
Yeah.
channel grew, he'd up my pay and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
he also referred me to a lot of other YouTubers,
Wow.
including Brian from Ramen Adventures.
Ron
Did a lot
Ventures.
of
Nice.
Yeah, I did a lot of great work with him back
Yeah.
in the day, as well
Anyone else?
as my main client right now is Eric Surf 6.
Eric Show 6.
That's probably the one you
Name
know
drop.
me from the most, actually,
I've
because
heard.
I put together so many of his videos. In fact, I have one I got to put together later tonight.
Check out
So
Andy's work on their channel.
yeah, I got a whole
Or just reach out
portfolio
to Andy on
playlist on my
Instagram.
channel.
Yeah. How can
My
people
Instagram.
contact you if they want your help?
If they want my help, there is a business email on my YouTube channel that you can reach out to. There's also my instagram.com/AndyJapandi and the number 1.
Okay, and I'll put your YouTube channel link in the description, and yeah, people can find your channel there. Andy Japandi. Yep,
Yep, Andy Japandi with the number 1. Because
nice.
apparently somebody else took just straight up Andy Japandi.
And that's for Instagram.
Yep, that's for Instagram. That's also for YouTube as well,
Okay.
because I migrated channels. So my old channel had just Andy Japandi, and I'm trying to get that changed, but Google's being a little squicky about things. So for now, it's just Andy Japandi and the number 1.
Cool, cool, nice. And of course, we are limited on time, but I'm curious, like, do you have any tips? Like, so I want to go into helpful things for our viewers, but like, one tips for like editing. I love some help. So do you have one tip for editing, like in terms of like what tools to use or how to edit?
Yeah, absolutely. So, especially if you're on YouTube doing content creation type stuff, the main thing you got to think about is keeping an audience's interest. So,
How do you do that?
then in order to do that, you need to know your audience. So, there are some audiences that do like the ADD Mr. Beast too mad style of like really quick cuts and just a lot of meme noises and flashy lights. Shake the keys, as I like to call it. Keep the kids interested. Then there's others where you can be a little more chill, a little more vibey, and just kind of let stuff breathe a little bit. So I would say one of the big tricks of editing if you can help it, is to be a camera operator. So knowing how to operate your camera is essential to editing, which sounds a little what counterproductive,
Different from what I expected. Not like
right? So what
Adobe.
I mean,
Yeah.
right? So what I mean by that is you need to shoot for the edit, because
Mm.
unless you have an editor, you're going to be the one that has to put this stuff together at the end of the day. And even if you do have an editor, it's going to take them a little longer if you shoot inefficiently. So some quick tips, I guess, with that would be to, if you're shooting B-roll, give it just a couple extra seconds before you turn it off. Just kind of hold, like if you're doing like pans or something like that of like a restaurant or street or something like that, just, a little pan, and then just hold it for like 2 to 3 seconds, then cut it off. Just so that way it's easier for the editor to kind of find a nice cutoff point rather than, you know, and just doing like quick shaky camera movements and stuff like that. Just nice, slow, deliberate sort of things, because they can speed that up if need be, or just cut out certain sections
Yep.
as well. And also just making sure framing is good as well. Lighting, that's another one that I'm learning a lot about, especially going back through some of my older videos where I have no lights. And with this video, I have my little ring light off in the corner shining on me.
Nice.
So that definitely helps as well.
Yep.
So in doing better, you know, housekeeping as far as shooting goes, it'll make things a lot easier in the editing bay. And also just having like a format and just a general flow of things
Yep.
makes things a lot faster. Like for instance, when I'm putting together Eric's Thrift 6 videos, the general format is intro, music montage, and then we're getting right into it with the food or beer, usually either like a beer, wine, some kind of drink, or like a, you know, table charge, something like that. And we're just getting right into it.
Wow.
So just having set formats will help really speed up the editing process.
That sounds like a show.
Mm.
It is a show. Yeah. Cool. Cool. Thank you for your tips. I really appreciate it.
No worries.
So yeah, I'm gonna just go to this question that's in my mind that may be a tip, end up being a tip, but like for your experience in Japan, can you tell us about like a challenge you've had? Then how maybe not to do it that way, or how you overcame the challenge.
Well, the big challenge would be the big C, of course. Well, I don't want to mention it because I don't know if it'll get you demonetized, so we'll just refer to it as the big C. And with that, it locked down a lot of places. Yeah, the what now?
Sorry, C mean copyright?
No, coronavirus.
Oh, sorry, thank you.
You can cut that part out. I'm just
Well,
trying to play it
leave
safe so you're not like demonetized or nothing.
Yeah. No, yeah, but Corona, that makes sense. Tell me tell us more if you don't mind.
Okay, so in dealing with the big C, it locked down a lot of socialization.
Yeah.
And me, I'm an introvert by nature, so it was like awesome at first. I'm like, I don't have to go see people. I don't have to get on the train. I could just sit in my room and still be productive. Awesome. But as the months and years went by, even I was like, damn, I really miss human contact, man. This is driving me up a wall over here.
I want to see humans.
Right? So one of the things that really helped me out was talking with people online, through like Facebook or whatever, just keeping in contact with family and friends to help keep me grounded. Hanging out with friends when I could, once I got the 2-tap later, and just making the most of those sorts of situations, because it's just is what it is, and just got to get yourself out there, basically.
Actually, do you mind? I'm gonna just add this in. Do you miss the karaoke's at all? Like, I'll go karaoke.
Oh, I miss it a lot. Like, I went to my first one in like 2 years since I've been back. It was probably more like 6 or 7 since I was last in karaoke. But I just went out there and killed it. because like when I know when people ask, "Hey, let's go karaoke,"
Yeah.
stuff like that, you're thinking like, "Ah, it's gonna be lame. It's just gonna be people like singing in a very monotone voice, and I'm just here for the drinks."
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you gotta go all out with that stuff. I don't,
What
people are
song
like,
do you
"Oh,
do?
I'm so embarrassed to sing."
What's your
What's that?
song?
What's
What's
my song? Well, I busted out a pretty good rendition of Michael Bolton's How Am I Supposed to Live Without You?
Whoa.
Like I say, go
Probably,
big or go home, baby.
yeah, I'm
So,
ready to hear it. I'm ready to hear it.
well, it'll get copyrighted, and my neighbors will pound on the door.
Yeah,
Shut
future, I guess Tokyo's still there, but like, I'll message you, let's go karaoke
right.
maybe. Yeah, yeah. But thank you. Yeah,
I
that
mean,
sounds
if
cool.
Johnny's picks me up,
Oh yeah, yeah. But Johnny's Japanese entertainment group. Like, yeah, let's be a group. Johnny's group.
right?
Andy and Paul.
We'll call ourselves NDY.
So let me add a standard question in there. What do
Sure.
you like about Japanese culture? What have you enjoyed?
The things I've really enjoyed are just being able to make friends from vastly different cultures, especially being in the Tokyo area. You're surrounded by a very international community. So it's not just Japanese people, it's
Yeah,
people from all kinds of different countries and cultures and things like that. So while it is interesting to learn the Japanese culture and meet with Japanese people, of course, um, something that's not really talked about a whole lot is just the vast amount of other cultures that are in Japan and just getting to learn a lot of that stuff and just to learn how other cultures kind of affected different things in Japan as well. Like one little instance is apparently there is no such thing as chocolate cake in Japan.
what?
Doesn't exist.
What
You ask for chocolate cake, eh? 何それ
the-
高いのよ。Oh, ego menu des. Yes. Ego menu, yes.
uh, I thought I had
So,
chocolate cake
but
here.
it's not called chocolate cake here. It's called gâteau
Ah,
chocolat, which is
ah,
the French term for chocolate
there you go. The
cake.
influence of yes, probably from
Yeah,
the
which I didn't know until I looked it up. I'm like, what the heck is this
yeah.
stuff tastes like chocolate cake?
Well,
Like,
does
what
it
the?
come from America? That word comes from France, or
It
yeah,
does, yeah.
yeah.
And it's ironic because German chocolate cake is an American cake that was made by a guy whose last name was German.
Whoa.
It's not German the country, it's German the person. Fun fact.
The mix of cultures.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm actually yeah. Actually, I'm also curious too. Are you into anime or manga?
Yup.
What's your favorite anime?
Oh Jesus, why you got to make me choose between my children?
Just one.
Just one. Okay. One that I really enjoy a lot is Beck
Oh,
Manga
whoa!
Wing Shop
I've heard of
Club.
it. I don't know anything about it. I've heard of it.
It's really good.
Yeah.
The anime you got to watch it subbed because the dub they try, but it's not the same. One of the neat things about the sub though is that they use both English and Japanese, and it's kind of a consistent thing. So rather than just like the errant like English person just kind of walking in and it's clearly like a Japanese person, like, excuse me, where is the airport? And stuff like that. It's actually like English actors and they kind of pronounce some things, but it's still like the script is kind of made, it's in English, but it's clearly scripted by like Japanese people, and it's this weird sort of Englishy sort of hybrid. It's very hard to describe, but it's like it has like a very unique charm to it. And it's
Mm,
also kind of this interesting thing to like see two different cultures melding together in anime because that's not something that usually happens. If there
mm,
are other non-Japanese things going on in anime, it's either like this power fantasy isekai type stuff, or it's just like the errant like big nose, blonde, blue eyed American doesn't know where the hamburger store is, and I got to get to my train, and I got guns, and bang, bang, motherfucker, and
so
stuff like that.
I'm still confused though. What is Beck exactly though about? Like, is it
Oh, yeah, I didn't explain that part, did I?
no,
Okay.
no
So,
worries?
right. So, Beck is about this group of high school kids who
Oh,
start their own band.
whoa!
And It's
Oh,
really cool. So you
band.
get to see like those dynamics as well,
Okay.
but you also get kind of, and they're influenced by
One
a lot of like foreign bands. So that's where the English and all that kinds of stuff comes into play because they
cultures
run
like
across
English,
foreign
Japanese.
musicians and things like that. Yes.
Cool, dude. Okay, okay. And then, uh, uh, you do you also read manga?
I don't read as much as I used to. It's just, especially where I am in the guest house. Well, you can't see because I'm at the lovely beach in
Yeah.
Hayama in Kanagawa.
Oh, where is that?
But
Yeah, where is
behind the
your background?
beach, yeah, that's my background. It's Isiki Beach in Hayama.
Hayama.
Lovely place, but a complete pain in the ass to get to.
Oh wow, it sounds
Not,
so it's secluded. It looks.
yeah, it's way out there. You got to take like a bus, and there's only like one bus that goes there, and everybody's on it, and you're just nut to butt and shoulder to face with everybody, and it's just like,
But you went
okay,
there like a fun holiday with friends or something, and
yeah, like it's something that I do with my friends, just over the weekend.
yeah, that sounds nice.
Just go out to the beach, especially during the season, the tail end of summer and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Every weekend we would go out to either like Yugihama in Kamakura. That's like our main beach that we go to. But we've gone out to Oiso, gone out to Hayama and
This is in
Enoshima.
Kamakura, Shonen. I don't know what those are.
Yeah,
What
Shonan is basically the coast area of Sagami Bay.
Tsugabi Bay?
So yeah, it basically starts around like Hayama, Miura Peninsula, going all the way up to, some might say it ends at around Oiso, some may say like Odawara,
I've been
whatever.
there. Nice.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah,
Odawara is lovely.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Mm.
Walked around the city, saw the castle. So that's cool. You know that area sounds like intimately. And
Oh
then so
yeah.
then um, I do want to get to this question, and then maybe we'll come with other questions. But so you're a YouTuber, you're editor, you graduated, and, congratulations.
Thanks.
And so what's one thing you want, your viewers, our viewers, to know about you that, maybe they don't know yet?
Well, it's kind of hard to say because like I've been on YouTube for so many years and I feel like I've like told everything and like retold everything.
Yeah.
But I guess like one thing to know is that at the end of the day, I'm just a person. I'm no better than any of these other people out and about doing their thing. It's just, I managed to document a fair bit of my life and just putting in the work, showing the work, very important because you see a lot of these people online, they just seem to come out of nowhere and they got like this huge following and they're uber successful and they're driving Lambos and they got this like $1 million penthouse overlooking the ocean and all this kinds of stuff and like who the heck's that?
Yeah,
I can't relate to that guy. But
yeah.
this dude in a little 8 meter little MDF cardboard box
With the
just
beautiful
hanging
view.
out, doing his thing. I can relate to that guy.
Yeah,
He's hanging in there, man.
that's a good message. Nice, nice. Actually, I'm curious. So you mentioned so I'm gonna add in some questions, but your job hunt. But what else are you working on? Do you have any other, personal hobbies or other goals this year, right now?
Well, right now, job hunting is the main thing, just because I only have so much money left, so I gotta get something to put back into savings, of course. But aside from that, um, I guess I could say content creation is a hobby
Yep.
in some aspects, and obviously I do it to pay bills, of course, editing for other people. But even for my own stuff, I just do it because I like it and I want to document my life as well, just so I can look back on it when I'm many years old and my hair's all gray, if I have any hair left at the end of the day.
You're
Hey, that
still
rhymed,
young.
you know? Um, I can look back and be like, oh man, that's what I was doing back then.
Oh
And,
man, Andy
that,
Japan.
yeah, exactly. Andy Japandi 2013. What the heck was that guy up to?
Now like
I even look back at some of those old videos because like I've been putting together compilations because a lot of my viewers want like the marathon experience. So they want
Oh,
like the
really?
super long, like several hours long of stuff.
Wow.
So I just compiled them all together
Wow.
by year,
Wow.
and they love it, man. And just to see like the difference between Andy Japandi 2013 and Andy Japandi 2022.
Yep.
I mean, obviously there are some weight differences, but just the camera quality and just where I was at that time,
Yep.
physically, mentally, the whole thing, and just where I'm at now, it just really helps you put life into perspective. And I think the thing that really got me into thinking about YouTube like this was very early on. There was a guy who was extremely inspiring to me. He was a very early J vlogger. I don't know if you know him. His name is Roger Swan,
Roger Swan. I
and
don't know him, but
he was an exchange student out at Keio University, which is like basically like the Harvard or Stanford
top school,
of Japan.
top private school.
And he managed to get out here for a year, made a series called Tokyo Swan,
Yep.
showing off life in Japan, kind of going to a lot of the same spots that I went to, out in Enoshima, and going to a concert for Elton John and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, he was just a regular dude from Michigan. And that's what I really loved about it. And, we connected and stuff like that. And later on, after he graduated, he was able to come back to Japan as a member of the JET program at Iwate, a bit further north in Japan. So he relabeled his series Iwate Swan. And
Nice.
right. And so he was showing his new life in the countryside as an English teacher, and things were going good. But unfortunately, very early into his time up there, he passed away due to acute pancreatitis.
Wow.
Just gone like that. So the takeaway with that I learned from him is to value life and to keep things in perspective, because you never know how much time you got.
Yeah.
Like, even after I get done recording this, I could get hit by a bus tomorrow, and
I hope you don't.
This will be the RIP edition. Hopefully not, of course, but
yeah,
you never know, man. So you just got to keep a lot of things in perspective and do what you can out there, right?
Yeah. Wow. That's a great lesson. I honestly, I learned it a little bit, or kept perspective, that word in mind. Just being a fan of one of my favorite YouTubers, Gary Vee. But
yeah, I got it from him too. I've been
oh
following him
wow,
for a
so
long
yeah, but that's a great way to give a tip, or perspective is quite important, and it's really been in my head as well. And I again thank you so much for your time today. I
No
really
problem.
hope we get that chance. Of course, it's COVID. Honestly, recently I have been sick. Honestly, like I hope we have that chance. In that future to do our karaoke. I hope if you're open.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm down for it, man.
yeah.
Just got to get that negative test.
Yeah. Well, actually, I was negative. I took a
Oh.
PCR last week, but it was just bad. A bad bag of apples. Yeah. But anyway, thank you so much for your time today. I think this
No
is a great,
problem.
great place for us to conclude today. I hope we have another chat, karaoke. Yeah. Is there anything
Absolutely.
you'd like to add? Final.
Well, I guess whether for people who are looking for like general advice on like being a YouTuber, editor, person of the world, you just gotta keep things in perspective. Like a lot of people seem to chase a lot of like short-term sort of gratification. I see it a lot on like YouTube. You gotta chase the numbers. Whether that's subscriber numbers, view count numbers, AdSense numbers. How much money do you make as an editor? Who are you working with? Why should I care about them? How many subs and views do they have? Are you somebody important I should be talking to? None of that stuff matters, man. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. We're all going to be put in the ground or burned to ashes.
That makes me think of Mr. Beast. I'm sorry.
Exactly. Yeah, but unfortunately, some of us won't be able to make it out at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But you just got to do what you love and live life with no regrets, because you don't know at the end of the day when your end of the day is. So,
And when I first met you, you seemed like a great guy, and thank you so much. I
no
messaged you
problem.
today, and you
Right.
replied, and you're so willing to give your precious time. And one thing I really love or want to respect personally, I'm working on is to respect others' time. And thank you so much for your time today, and letting us into your life and get to know you. And yeah, let's keep perspective. And thank you, Andy, for your time today. Yeah, and
Yeah, no problem.
yeah, yeah.
Thanks.